Hello, fellow Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast. Today, we are going to be reviewing Hamilton, a play originally released in 2020 and directed by Thomas Kyle, is it? But yeah, so without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
I'm James, and joining us today is Jordyn, Taryn's sister, Jay's girlfriend.
Yeah, special guest.
Individual
I didn't mess that up.
Individual person, yeah. Artist, got a lot on her repertoire. So, yeah, Jordyn picked this movie or play. Play. So this was released in 2020, but it was like originally came out in 2015, 2016, right? Is that right?
It was filmed in 2016.
Oh, this was filmed in 2016 too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
They just
I
like
wonder why did it take them so long to release it?
They filmed it just to like have, like a little gem with the original cast before they all left. And then COVID happened and they were like, the world needs happiness. So they just gave it to the world. Like they rushed editing it and then just released it for us.
Okay,
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, because a lot of time, like when I was watching it, I was like, man, this was. I knew it was released in 2020. I was like, maybe January, where things were still open, but
Yeah.
no, July 3rd is when it. So that's good to know. That makes a lot of
Perfect for America, July 4th.
You know they were in it for that money. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get real.
Yeah.
No, it does seem like it's pretty difficult to, because it's multiple plays, right? It's multiple nights.
Three different nights that they
So
filmed.
stitching all that together, finding the right parts to put in for each thing, that must be a lot of work.
Wait, we didn't take a shot.
I know. I figured
I'm like, the one night I'm going to take a shot.
take our shots. We got straight into it.
Excited.
Getting too excited.
Raise a glass to
Cheers,
freedom.
Cheers.
And the five of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us.
Tonight there's more of
Tonight
us.
there was more of us, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dude, man. Tito's is so much smoother than other vodkas.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Is it? I just took some off. I don't know.
Well, I had that platinum 7 times distilled last night.
Oh.
Not fun.
Nice.
Don't recommend it.
Jacob says, Jordan's cup, I made it. I made this shot glass. Shout out to myself.
Not even 5 minutes in and she's already plugging.
Nice.
There'll be time for that later, Jordyn. Okay.
That's so funny.
Okay,
Dude.
so this was my first time seeing. I think this is my first time watching a actual play on TV. I'd seen some in person, but so it was interesting. I think. I don't know. There's this thing, like, not to get too deep into it, but there's this thing, and I think it happens with comedy too. There's a difference of watching something live. It's just inherently better, like with comedy, and I think with plays. So watching this at home, I was like, okay, I see that this is really enjoyable, but I feel like I'm just missing so much. Obviously, if I was there, it would be a whole nother experience. But
like, it's good. It was better that they did it this way rather than them doing like, could you imagine if they try to do this like live action with like,
Oh my god.
like
sets
like
and
real
stuff.
sets, and like if it was like a real movie, it is better that they did it like play style.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so too.
And it's like part of the thing, like I had heard of it because Helen, you guys know her, she loves it. My cousins love it. So I'm like, okay, I'll probably love it because like they love it, but I didn't know what it was about because I didn't have the like pleasure to go to Chicago and Seattle like them and like go see it live, So when it was released like this, I was like, I can finally be a part of this like group that loves Hamilton.
Live?
Yeah, her sister took her to Seattle to see it.
This cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not this cast. Oh, I thought
No.
you saw this cast.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I was like, this has to
They
be like
stopped-
the best cast.
Yeah, they stopped doing this cast in like after like a year or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point though. Like, and that's where the difficulty comes in, both in the show of like, do we rate this as a movie or do we rate this as a play? Like, it's kind of a weird ground. But also like, it's cool that they did this because, taking the time to stitch 3 shows together with all the nice camera angles and stuff is much better than like just putting a camera in and watching one version of it, you know? But then making it accessible to everybody through like Disney Plus, where you know people like us who couldn't go to the shows in person can still like get a taste of it. And it's not the same, you know, it's not as good, but it's still like because people have been talking about this play for like 4 years, and when they would talk about it, I'd just be like, yeah, I don't, never seen it, don't know, can't go and
really
see it.
Yeah.
So
well, then like an interview that I watched was like, oh, watch the film, you'll have the best seat in the house. It's like, no, we have better seats than everyone that ever saw it live, because we get to see like
up in their
shots,
faces.
in their face and their sweat, but like the shots of like the Reynolds pamphlets like flying everywhere, like George Washington facing this way, and then when he like comes out with his sword, it's like we have the best seat.
That's true.
But it's like, yeah, maybe.
But I know that it's better live, duh. But.
Yeah, but then also like one of the things that bothered me is that the costumes are great and everything, but sometimes I literally couldn't tell who was supposed to be who at some points. Like
that's one of my
there wasn't enough like wigs and hair changes. Like they were all like bald black dudes, a lot of them. Like I could like half the time I was kind of like, who's who? And then I was like, damn, imagine watching this live. You would be fucking lost.
And then were you lost when they played multiple characters?
That's where I got lost.
See, I didn't even really notice that because I was just already like, who the fuck are these? I was like, is this George Washington? I was like, is this like, who is this? Who is that? And eventually like I got like used to it, but I was like, what if I was in the nosebleeds? I'd be fucking lost.
Yeah,
that would suck no matter what, probably. But
I actually didn't really have that hard of a time keeping up with that. I think that was one thing that was done relatively well, and I think it was done well by the actual actors by having their such unique voices. Like all of them did a pretty good job, I think, of having like overacting on the French accent, or and like George Washington was like this huge man, this huge bald guy. Like, I don't know, I think they did a pretty good job at that. I can see it getting a little confusing, especially actors playing 2 different characters, but yeah, I mean, it was done about as well, I think as it could have been.
This is one of those things that definitely benefits from multiple viewings, because when I first saw it, it was a lot of the same, I've seen this twice for reference. So when I saw it for the first time, I was like, yeah, that was cool. I got the gist of it, it all made sense, but I wasn't like super turned into who was who and, all the specifics. But when I watched it again, after listening to the soundtrack like a million times in my life, it was much clearer, and when you can like hone in on those details, you see a lot, which I think is really cool about this specific play.
Okay, so you say that this, like that doesn't make it accessible then. Like Disney Plus made it accessible, but having to watch something twice, doesn't that take away from it a little bit?
Well, that's why I think the soundtrack comes in, because like one of my cousins had never, like 2 of them saw it already, one of them didn't, and they're like, you'll love it, just listen to the soundtrack on repeat. And that's like what most of the world got, and it was enough for most of the world,
Oh, so the soundtrack was accessible everywhere.
Yeah, it's been on Spotify, and
okay.
if you play it from start to finish, it's the entire play.
Right.
So
like, is it this exact recording that's been out, like this one?
It's the original cast.
It's studio recorded versions of the song.
Okay.
I guess the cast.
Okay, so then that's the next question. They weren't singing live; they were lip syncing. Yeah, or no?
No, they were real plays that they recorded. Like the crowd. The crowd clapping was like real.
Yeah.
It was authentic. Yeah,
because you said there was multiple plays that they stitched together. One is for sure with no crowd, right? Because they have cameras flying all over the fucking stage and stuff. Those ones, those scenes stuck out a little bit to me, but like it wasn't bad. But since we're moving so goddamn fast this episode, let me go back to what you guys were saying about like watching this live versus watching this filmed version. I feel like there's such a. I hope this becomes a trend where it's like almost like a majority of people aren't going to be able to go out to these big cities and see this exact cast play this play or whatever, or act out this play. But like we said, like our cousins and stuff have seen it, but it's not the cast. Like it's like watching a movie being like a cover of a movie, like covers. Of
yeah.
It's like,
or a cover band of,
Yeah,
of a concert.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is such a cool, like, artifact, I guess, that you could just like have like this the original cast playing and like their best, like their peak of their performances, like always have it available and stuff. Like I hope that becomes a trend, because that's just like, I don't know, it's a cool thing to just have, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, I heard that way back in 2016, like a lot of these were just sold out, like especially if you wanted to see it like on Broadway or whatever, like good luck getting a ticket, and if you wanted to get a ticket, it was going to be ridiculously
So
expensive.
Yeah.
So kudos, to them for saying, yeah, 2020 has been rough. Let's throw one out. I didn't know that.
And it's like when you love like the theater as much as like Lin-Manuel Miranda does, you're like, when is the next time we can fit 500 people in a theater at one time, so that he was like, here, enjoy. And it's just like blown up even more, I think, because like there's so many interviews on Zoom with like all of them,
Oh, okay.
like they're getting so much attention from it releasing on Disney Plus, which is good.
And it's just so much more accessible now. Like almost anyone could watch this now, instead of like such a select few amount of people, right?
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool. I don't know. And like the close-up angles, like the camera, the shots of like being really close to their faces, you get to see the emotion a lot more than if you were even like in the middle of the crowd, Like I feel like that's all that stuff adds up to be a like pretty valuable package, I guess, versus going in person, which I'm sure is like its own crazy value of it in itself,
Yeah. That's funny. Like I don't really consider myself the type of person to be super into this kind of thing, like into plays. I don't like dislike them or anything, but like I went to New York one time and I saw Wicked there, and I was like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go see a play in New York just to like for the novelty of it kind of thing. But I like really enjoyed it. I was like, oh shit, like being there is like just the experience of that. Like you can't help but be entertained. And so
I took my grandma to see The Lion King when it was here, and I was like blown away for days because of like the props and the sets and like the choreography. I was like, what the hell? Like I love plays so much, and I've never been to New York, so I've never seen like a real one, It's just like Pope Joy and like ones my friends put on in college too.
Yeah, those are like the only ones I've seen is students in college putting in.
Yeah, I've seen Mamma Mia and Wicked, Pope Joy.
Nice.
And they're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine.
Dude, I don't know. Like watching this and like just thinking about plays and stuff, it's like just the sheer amount of talent that goes into these things fucking blows my mind, dude. Like I can't even like comprehend.
Yeah,
that's
and like
insane.
courage.
Yeah. It's like,
and just having to get it right. Like there's no
almost
takes,
3 hours. It just has to be basically perfect for 3 fucking hours straight. It's awesome.
It is crazy.
That's one thing that I've like really have started to admire about like people who like actors who primarily just act in live action plays, is that before I kind of had this thought in my head like, oh yeah, like there's people who do like these live action things, but I'm sure they really want to be on the big screen. Like I'm sure that's what they want. But
I don't think so.
What I've started to learn is like, no, there's this subset of actors who are like phenomenally talented people who that is where their heart is. That's where their passions are, is just
in the theater.
Just in theater.
Yeah, because it's so like intimate, like that one time is so specific every time. Like your crowd is different every time,
And to see how they react every time, and you're just there. Yeah, I have a new respect for it, for sure.
Yeah,
I could totally see how like an actor would just be totally in love with the theater side of things and just only want to do that. Like that just seems crazy.
Yeah, and there's crossover too. Like there are certain actors who are in big pictures who love, like Michael C. Hall, the guy who plays Dexter, he's really big in a theater. Nick Offerman, he's big in a theater. Like,
really?
That's kind of where they started. Yeah, and
cool.
So it's kind of cool.
Well, Lin-Manuel Miranda like wrote this. Well, he started with In the Heights, won like a Tony, a Grammy, whatever, like blew up with that, and then wrote this, and now he was like in the new Mary Poppins and stuff. So I think it's like a lot of the cast, like Daveed Diggs is in like a couple movies now too. It's like from blowing up from Hamilton, people are like, "Be in my movies," and they're like, "Okay."
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like the natural progression though, because
Which is
that's
cool.
like, yeah, that's like the easiest way to get into acting. But I don't know, in high school you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Theater.
it's a way to get noticed for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you just learn so much more. Maybe not more, but like when you're doing a play. Because I remember in the movie Marriage Story, I don't know if you guys have all seen that, but
yeah,
there's a scene where Scarlett Johansson is just basically monologuing, and it's just like one take. It doesn't move for like minutes, and she's like crying and like talking to Laura Dern and just like going on and on. And I'm like, holy fuck! Like when I watched that, I was like, this acting is insane. Like she's like doesn't break for like minutes on end, and she's like changing her emotions and just like putting all in there. And then people are just like, oh, you haven't seen theater, have you? Because like that is just normal shit for them.
Yeah, because like in the movies, you could be like, stop, whatever, or redo it. But this Philippa Sue has to cry every time. Like, Eliza has to cry like every
spot.
time, twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's so good at it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's touch on. I think the biggest shock of this play was that it's largely a rap. Like most of it is rap, and I kind of, I don't know if spoiled is the right word, but I remember Taryn talking about this play and just saying like, oh, I never knew it was a rap. It was so cool. I went into a blind, and then I kind of came back once we said we were going to do this review. Still really interesting. Like two completely different. I mean, we're talking about like the late 1700s and a very like modern new thing, which is rap music combined together. I think for the most part done pretty well. There was, well, I'll just leave it at that. Where are you?
I want to know what James thinks. I'm gonna call you out.
I know. I'm just trying to be quiet because I need to be respectful and courteous because I don't want the theater nerds in the chat to rip me a new asshole.
I have gripes with this too. I will bring
it. Say it up. I'm not James. Like, we're gonna give it a 15. I'm like, I don't know the score.
You gotta fumble through it, bro.
Yeah, I'm already drunk. I'm fucking faded after that.
All right, Jordan. Okay, I'll lay my whole heart out. Okay. I don't know, guys. I was just, after watching the whole thing, I was just like, all right, well, that happened. And I was kind of stuck thinking, why do people like this so much, and what is the appeal?
And I had overhyped.
I think it's overhyped. I'll just say that right now.
I would agree with James. I know I've been. Go ahead.
And I listened to the music. I listened to the whole CD a couple of times, and me and Jacqueline were arguing back and forth. And I was like, name one memorable song besides the first Alexander Hamilton, Take a Shot, and maybe, I don't know, Helpless.
Dude, are you kidding me?
I like how you're naming them.
And yeah, because I literally listened to this all. And yes, of course, the best guy is the British King. Of course.
No.
Of course.
No.
Who is it? I think it's George Washington.
It's David Diggs. He's fucking gay. Oh my god.
Who's David Diggs?
He's the French guy? Is that right?
He's Lafayette / Thomas Jefferson.
No.
Right.
No. George Washington beats them all. Anyways.
George Washington is Jay's dad. They look identical.
Nice. Yeah.
The first time
no one's going to get that, but that's hilarious.
But like I don't know. I just felt like some of the rap felt like it just felt like some corny thing. Like they was just like trying to get people into a boring ass part of American history. I'm sorry.
Okay. And that's what I wanted to touch on. That's why I kind of paused. I was like, I think for the most part the rap was good, but there were scenes where I was just like, this feels like I was sitting on my couch. I was just like, it almost feels like I'm sitting in a classroom in 10th grade and I'm being forced to watch this.
Yeah.
Like forced to like say like, guys, look how cool, congressional approval is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Wait a minute.
And I got stuck in between them trying to be so serious about it, and then when they took it less seriously in the second act, when they started doing the rap battles, that's when I was like, okay, fucking let's go, let's get some more rap battles. And they only had
Like
two of them, and they were my favorite parts. The rap
You
battle.
like the rap battle?
I
So
thought you were gonna
good.
say
Because they were cheesy and they reminded me of epic rap battles of history. Who remembers that on YouTube? We're gonna watch some of those after the cast tonight. We're 100% gonna watch those
yeah.
because those are hilarious. Like,
That's so good.
like, and those are better than this movie. I'm gonna say it. Even those raps were better because they roast each other, and like there was a few good roasts in this movie, and I was like, okay, all right, burn them. And I
I want
wanted
rap battle
more.
of the week. I don't know.
I wanted more of that, and I was just, I don't know, guys.
Damn, that's so interesting, dude. I
I
didn't
like
think
the
about
cabinet
any of
battle.
that once. Like I was sold on all of it, dude. Like none of it
Really?
felt cheesy to me. Yeah. Like none of it
Mm,
felt
wow.
like it was trying to teach me about history. Like it worked for me, I guess.
Well, not all the history is accurate, anyways. But
Well,
it's
yeah,
like
sure.
you know,
But
trying
like
to
they're
get
saying,
you
like it felt like they were in
interested.
school or something. I
Okay,
never felt
so
like that.
some background for the cabinet rap battles. Lin-Manuel Miranda founded a group called Free Love. I'm drunk. Freestyle Love Supreme with Christopher Jackson,
That's a cool
aka
name.
George Washington, right?
Yes.
And a bunch of other people, and they basically did an improv rap battles on Broadway. Like it was so cool. Like they did improv. They
Damn.
went to the audience and they're like, give us some occupations, give us this, and then they just rap battled accordingly, like on the spot. And so that
Wow.
him and George Washington like did that for years before he ever like wrote In the Heights and stuff, and was like, we need to do that. That's like OG rapping, right? And so they worked it in, and I
That's
do
awesome.
enjoy those a lot.
Yeah.
You should watch, like, there's a whole documentary on Freestyle Love Supreme, and it's super cool.
Where is it? Or what can you
I don't
watch
know, Hulu or something.
I
Watch it
don't know.
it?
Google
Okay,
it.
okay.
Hulu.
Yeah.
No, but okay, and I think all of the positive things that I was saying about this play, because there's still so much to admire for sure, like just the talent and everything that goes into it. But yeah, I do agree with James, and I think that's like very well founded. Like a lot of it felt super cheesy to me, and even I think the rap battles, I was like, this is just...
Yeah, and I think that like that's also has to go with theater acting in general, because they have to be very over exaggerated, because you could just be this little tiny ant on a stage. You have to make the people in the back see some
right,
emotion,
exactly.
You know
How
what
do
I
you
mean?
think they did the hip hop? How do you think it portrayed?
Oh, Jade.
Yeah, just like
or
the music.
battles.
They think it's cheesy, trying to get you interested in history class.
Oops. We
don't
said it
know
a little more
about
eloquently than that, I think.
Well, that's what people are gonna get from it. And you know what? Like, I don't dislike all of it, but I think a lot of the songs are just boring. I think they're really boring. But
I mean, you have to frame it as like they're writing a musical about history, about things that happened like, almost 200 years ago. So it's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world, but at the same time, like they did pay a lot of homage to, early hip hop in the verses. Like that was super cool to me.
Yeah.
Not only do you tell this history story through this hip hop, but you also inject the history of hip hop into this rap about history.
It's incredibly creative, and they pay homage to even like other musicals itself. Like it's trying to pick everywhere it wants to pay homage to, and I feel like it's they were trying too hard to please all kinds of different areas when they were like right there. I feel like they were right there to do something like really interesting with this. But I think
what would have taken it to that point for you?
I think just straight up more rap, better rap, different kinds of styles of rap. I think
like
forget all the ballads. Like I know the ballads create like emotion, and especially like all the women are singing ballads and stuff like that.
Angelica did a dope ass rap.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
kind
And
of rap?
Miranda's wife was like, "That's a nice song, but you should make her rap because all the men rap. Why can't they rap?" And then she was like, "Okay," and then he wrote
Yeah.
back.
I don't know.
I just
think
so
James
It's not
and I
good.
are on
I don't
two
know.
opposite ends of the spectrum because I think for me to take this more seriously would be less rap, and I think it would be like I think the rap that was in it, like the very casual rap, like in the very beginning, how things were like they just seemingly rhymed, and it was like almost like they weren't even doing it intentionally, you know?
like all
Yeah.
So,
the
like all of
the
that started
The
out. I
Aaron
think that was
Burster.
yeah,
yeah,
Burster, yeah.
all
That
of
was the
that I think
best, dude.
was really well done. And once it got a little bit more over the top and the rap battles, I was like, ah, this is dropping off a little
Well,
bit.
I'll just say that like I don't think the whole thing could, Satisfy is 100% the best song.
Oh my god.
Um, we can
It's
get into
so
that in a second, but I just think that it couldn't be like a rap battle the whole way through because they're telling a story and they just like want to make you feel the emotions through it, James.
Yeah, I feel like
That is
they would
fine.
be less impactful if there was way more of them.
What did you
Right.
think of the scene itself of Satisfied?
Do you even know the songs, like the different
He
songs?
does.
Sing a part of
don't
it.
you?
Sing a part of
Yeah.
it.
The Satisfied is when
I
Angelica's talking to Alexander Hamilton and she knows
just might regret that night for the rest of my days.
Oh, yeah. Is it like her?
So it's
She's
right
mainly the only person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
God, that song is so fucking good. Yeah.
Thank you.
The play.
Okay, but not
part,
even just the song, but the play part, how they do the entire scene they just did, but in reverse.
that was
right.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. I'm getting drunk here. What are we talking about?
You have to go back and watch these things.
After-
I've only
Yeah.
seen it once.
After
so-
Hamilton got married to Eliza,
Eliza.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Angelica, her sister,
Angelica's like jealous or whatever, and she sings
and
a
they
song.
do like the lighting drops to blue, and it looks like this flashback, or I guess it's like a
Of
flashback.
when they
Yeah,
first
it's like
met.
her memory,
Yeah,
basically.
but, like,
It's the same
plays
scene, but it's
out.
from her perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's
Yeah,
like
it's so fucking
And they're
good.
literally
well
like
done.
like doing their things in reverse.
In reverse, yeah.
So cool.
Dude, you know what's so funny is like when I think about the 1700s, I just forget that people still got horny. Like because
Dude,
the
that's like the
people in
only
this
thing
play
everyone
were
ever
so
did.
horny. I'm like, it's so weird to think about one of our founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, just murdering it, just slaying it.
Isn't there,
damn.
there's that one random song that's like super short and that's like talking about all the ladies and how they're all need to be they're like all fruited and they need to take their fruits
Oh,
out.
deflower them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
deflower, yeah.
perfect.
I'm just like
Yeah, and it's so weird. I'm just like, what?
Well, I've seen a bunch of like, I don't know, videos like TikToks or some shit where they're just like, these are the eyes that the Schuyler sisters were fucking drooling over, and it's like an old picture of Alexander Hamilton. So ugly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's how that one song ends, right? Where she's like, "But I still get to see his eyes" or some bullshit. I'm like, girl,
His eyes
you know,
And it's
she was
kinda hard to,
married.
like,
She was married when they first met. Even though I know
Angelica?
we don't really
Yeah.
care about the actual history of it, but she was married when they
Oh,
Right,
I
met.
was
dude.
like
That's
in the
the-
play.
That's the
she
reason
totally
it's
was.
so. I don't know. I think that's the reason that this is so important is that
Yeah.
it made people give a shit about
Looking it
history.
up, yeah.
Yeah,
Because here's a fun little fact. Do you guys remember like 5+ years ago when they were thinking about replacing the face on the $10 bill?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they were going to put Harriet Tubman, was it? I think that
I mean,
was
they
the
totally
runner-up.
should have. That's my beef with this. Is like Hamilton wasn't a hero,
Well,
but like
okay,
people love him
but
now.
that's okay. I don't know. I kind of disagree. Like Alexander Hamilton, some people would say he was like one of the most influential Americans to have ever existed. Like he was an immigrant. Like he wasn't an American. He wasn't from England. Like he just saw an opportunity in a new country in New York. And I mean, the guy was a child prodigy. Like he was running this massive fucking company at 14 years old. Like he was just
company.
what's
What?
that?
Slavery company. Who are you
No,
talking
it
about?
wasn't. No,
Who are you talking
Alexander
about?
Hamilton was so pro emancipation. Like he
But
was the
I mean, okay, the Schuyler family owned and traded slaves all the time, and he
That
definitely
he ran.
yeah.
This
Like,
is
he
the
could have-
problem with
he
shedding light on this historical person
Right.
is that people will start digging hard as fuck. And in the last literally week or two, there has been research found that he did in fact own slaves and like all this stuff.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, that
Got him.
okay.
Ladies
So,
and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen,
we got him.
He had the conversations and he had the ideas of, you know, wanting to be this abolitionist one day, but like that wasn't really his.
that wasn't the norm back then.
And honestly,
No.
that doesn't. Okay, I don't know that, and all that stuff kind of doesn't really bother me. I don't know. Like I don't need like all of my movies.
How do
like
I take hot take?
all the main characters to be fucking saints. I don't know. It
no,
doesn't.
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I agree.
Does that make sense? It's not that
What,
about.
what I was
okay.
trying to say was
Okay.
without
It's like
this play,
you're okay with history, like
without
Yeah,
this
yeah,
play,
history
I've
is
never
history.
seen-
yeah.
Yeah.
When you frame it like that, I thought you were talking about slavery, and I was like,
Yeah.
No. Like, you know, like yeah. Like I want my Nazis to be Nazis, not like some
Some
sugar-coated Nazis.
redemption arc,
You know?
something
Yeah,
bullshit.
redemption arc Nazis. Like
I
Yeah.
get it.
just let them be.
Well, like,
Yeah.
okay, and then we can go like way into the weeds about that and say that Abraham Lincoln wasn't like the hero that he's painted to be. Like you could put anyone under a microscope. Abraham Lincoln wanted to abolish slavery, but he never thought that blacks should be equal to whites. Like, so you can go really far into that, right?
And the fact of the matter is that doesn't make an interesting story. I'm
That's
sorry,
true
right?
too,
Like
yeah.
nobody wants to hear about that stuff, really, right? Like
Yeah.
they just want the character arcs
The drama.
without the racism.
There is also some like sweet,
Strong.
I think, sweet justice to see a play do this successful, like where you have these like really white racist people played by black actors, which is just like kind of satisfying to
So
watch.
good.
Yeah, and I think that
Like,
was
haha, we're telling history now, motherfuckers.
it felt
Yeah.
like a way to kind of say fuck you to that era, right?
Yeah,
A little bit.
yeah.
Right to tell the story they built America, you know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But speaking of John Lawrence in the chat, did you guys catch him and Hamilton's love?
Who's John Lawrence?
Anthony Ramos.
Who's Anthony Ramos?
Who's Anthony Ramos?
He's the one where, like, you will never be free until we end
played his
slavery.
son.
And he was the
Oh,
son.
right,
he has
right, right.
he's Puerto Rican. They yeah, they were romantic. Him and Hamilton in real life.
Wait,
Oh,
really?
Nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they like hinted at it in the show, like every zoom up, it's just like, you know,
Wait,
like
him and his
super
son, or
dark.
the other character that guy played?
The character he plays in the
Okay,
beginning.
God, I was
Yeah,
like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Interesting.
a
No
little
clue.
bit of interesting facts. So I know that my biological father, his father, so my biological grandpa, was adopted under his name, but his original last name is Hamilton. So we have a lineage of Hamilton that goes back to like Ireland and Scotland, where Alexander Hamilton's family came from. So there may be distant ties there. We don't know.
Whoa.
There's none in like the direct tree of Alexander Hamilton, but my family does apparently come from that area, that same area. And
Dude,
stuff.
and I was
That's
just
sick.
thinking that as I was watching this, I was like, "Dude, how come I don't know any like Hamiltons or Washingtons or, you know,
Yeah,
bars?"
I would be if he didn't get adopted, and then I didn't get adopted.
Oh.
But I would be in that same line. But it's not, it's not direct. It might be a real distant relation, but super interesting.
That's
And
really
also,
cool.
I was like, if I was a direct descendant, I think I'd have a lot more cash. You know what I mean?
That far?
Spread that cheddar, brother.
Dude, freaking
Fifth level grandson is like chilling right now. Like,
Okay,
Damn.
so
For-
now Jay's okay with slavery. that's where all the cash would come from.
nobody said anything about that.
okay. Let's put it in
Jesus.
perspective. Like Taryn, you said like that far away though. So this happened like 1780 would be 240 years ago, which
Okay.
like 240 years is a long time. But if you think about it in terms of like people can live to be close to 100,
Like
it's like
Eliza.
But,
less
back
than
then,
2.5.
right?
Well,
70,
people
maybe
relatively
60.
old.
Eliza lived to like 90 some years old. Hamilton
Yeah.
died at 40 some. She lived another 50 years.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah, so like that's like two
Can
and
you
a half.
imagine living 50? Like I die
2.5
50
people.
more years.
That'd
It's
be crazy.
crazy.
Dude,
Well,
I-
they had
Wow,
like
that's
9
actually not
kids
that
together.
Far. That's fucking crazy.
It's not that far
Oh, I
away.
know.
Okay,
They had
and
so many kids that they named 2 sons Philip.
That's fucked up.
Dude, no, okay,
Philip
this is what's
one,
weird.
Philip two.
When I was looking into my family tree and all that shit,
Yeah.
the names were so common. So the like 5 levels deep, same year-ish when Alexander Hamilton was born, there was my ancestor whose name was Thomas Hamilton, which they had kids named Thomas too, and he was married to an Elizabeth. Like these names were just so common, it was crazy, and that trended for a few years before. I think from what I understand is that my family eventually made its way west to the West Coast. So as they got further out, the names started getting more exotic. But like while they're in that time, a lot of these names are super similar. It's kind of
and
weird.
then they gave you a letter for a
Yeah.
So-
That's what's left.
Is Eliza short for Elizabeth or am I stupid?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
That's,
If that wasn't clear, Eliza is short for Elizabeth.
And Peggy.
Peggy. Yeah, what happened to Peggy? She just
She
She
died
died
young.
there.
young. She died pretty young. But she,
Yeah.
like didn't have any, connection to Alexander like Angelica did. So
Dude, okay, so was he smashing Angelica? Like, was
No.
that happening?
no, they were just like really flirtatious, and
The
apparently,
one
so I
that
listened
got
to
away.
like historians on Hamilton, so like they cracked all the like a podcast where they cracked all the fake stuff and the real stuff.
Mhm.
They like flirted in public at parties and like on letters to each other or whatever, but like they would write flirtatious weird things, and Eliza would like write on the letters too, so like she totally knew about it, and they never like did it.
Wow.
Like
So you're saying
basically,
orgies weren't a thing back then? Or, I mean,
Or
they
were
that could
invented
happen.
the orgies. No. So like Eliza was, I was about to say emailing.
Emailing.
She wrote a
that
letter
happened a little
to
later.
Angelica, and Angelica was like, "You better share that husband of yours," or some kind of shit like that. And it was
Well, they
kind of
would
as like busting balls. You know what I mean? Not that way.
Yeah.
Founding fathers found a little something else.
And then I heard in this historian podcast that how she's like, in the like letter you wrote me, it's like I noticed a comma in the middle of a phrase, and it's like after dearest.
Oh, yep.
Apparently, she wrote that to him. She wrote my dearest, comma, Alexander.
Oh.
Damn.
I didn't
Not that
understand
that
the
matters.
significance of that.
Because like
grammar.
usually you're like
Matters.
my dearest Alexander, comma, but it's like my dearest.
Mm-hmm. That's like putting a period at the end of a text. Everyone thinks you're mad.
It's the three dots.
You're mad.
That's crazy, dude. You'd wait months for a fucking letter, and then you're just like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And then you have to. and now we're just like, "Damn, what does this mean?" And then you ask the homies. And like,
I'd probably died of dysentery by now, but
I know. Oh man.
oh god.
That's good. Have you guys talked about the stage at all? The stage.
No, but I really want to.
So the coolest part is obviously the moving floors,
Yes,
right?
dude. Oh my.
So there's a
God.
shot in the Disney Plus version where it goes overhead and you see like a target, what looks like a target made out of light on the floor, which outlines the parts that move.
Mhm.
What's cool about that is actually the symbol for the Federalist Party, which of Alexander Hamilton and John Adams and co. were a part of. So in addition to playing its role of manipulating time with the different speeds of each floor and how they would like make all that cool shit, it also stood for something like super real.
Oh,
Damn, I thought it
stylish
was.
and effective.
Exactly.
I took it as a target on Hamilton because he got shot.
I think it could be that too. Like they had so many meetings. So
So
when I
It was
good,
just
dude.
like
Oh.
convenient because that's what they needed to spin. I don't know. That's where it
They're just letting them know, like, walk on the light. That part's gonna move.
when I was looking it up and I saw that, like on Wikipedia, it's like he was a part of the Federalist Party. You click on that, literally, it's just the target symbol, and I was like,
Sick.
okay, that's cool. There's a lot of cool things that I think theater can do really well, like, but in a different way, right? Like in the movies, you would see a cannon splash into the water and make a whole thing. But here, a cannon went off and the lights would flash.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people would be
Sound
like,
that was sick. Yeah, all of
Or
the
like the ships in New York Harbor, it's like blue light, so it looked like it was like the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the coolest like presence of that for me was when, oh shit, who was it that died? I think it was one of the characters that had died, and they were having like a monologue, and like there was just this really blue light on them, like to just demonstrate like they're speaking from this other,
John
realm.
Lawrence, like when he died.
I think so, yeah. And you had like Alexander Hamilton kind of like looking off at him, but Eliza was just like couldn't see it, and it was they did that really well, and it was I mean, which like Jay said, there's things that you can do in a play that you get really creative and you can make.
Remember that
certain way.
play we saw my friend made? They were like, it was like a play about tennis, and they made the stage where like half of the because like a tennis, what's it called, like a tennis table is like this. Half of it was on the floor, and the other half was like up like this, and it was just like a wall. So like when he was like playing back and forth, there wasn't anyone there, but it would like come back to him, and it was just
like
so smart.
Halfway up, like at a
yeah. And it was, I don't know, I just
awesome.
like appreciate
when
fucking.
They would have like this section that was like internal monologue, and so the person who was giving the monologue, the light would be on them, and they would do this with the racket, so like they were hitting stuff, and then you would hear like sounds of balls getting hit back and forth, but they were just talking directly at you, but just doing this and just saying they would actually throw balls, and then you would hear them. Like it was so cool.
Yeah.
The thing about theater is that it's so intimate that like, no two viewings of the same thing is going to be the same. And all those micro changes and stuff, they can like really amplify those specific parts way more than seeing a movie twice would. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like having that experience of this is us on stage, you in the audience, and this is the time that we have to interact. Like that.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And you can do so much, practically and like symbolically from it. And you're kind of forced to.
Just also with like the casts changing themselves, like just how much that adds, because the actor's interpretation of that character bleeds a lot into like who that character is shown on stage. So I'm sure to see the same exact play by two different casts would be completely a different experience for sure, which I've never done, but I think it was fun.
Yeah.
But along those same lines, like it's impressive because, in a movie you're seeing the best of 30 plus takes of any given scene. In a play, you get what you see is what you get. And they're doing all that stuff in the background too, of like changing costumes and all that stuff. Did I miss all this?
Is it really 30?
We didn't go over that.
Exaggerating?
I threw a number out, but
I
like
figured
you could,
like 3.
3 takes? Have you never? I remember one time I was outside.
Film, I mean. Right?
Oh
no, I'm talking about movies in general.
Oh, sorry.
Jay was saying like film takes. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, no, that.
Which makes it hard to rate in my mind. Like, how do I approach this?
Well, and I think, I don't know, there wasn't any like errors obviously in the movie where like somebody fell over or like it was something that we could like turn a blind eye to. But I think for me, still just the direction of how the rap was like too ingrained into it negatively affects my score. Where I think James was like, fucking send it on the rap. Give me more rap battles.
Certain
I don't
parts,
know.
right?
I don't know what the fuck I wanted. I'm just like, what I really wanted was to love this fucking play because everyone just loved it so much. And I was just like, so heart on the line, ready to take it all in. And then I was just like, and that was it. I was just quiet. I
think maybe you just need to watch it again in like a month or two. I
want to. And that was my argument with Jacqueline was that I was trying to say, what's all these songs? And I'm like, and then I put the songs on in the car, and then because she was like, oh, it's this number. She's like, I rated this, and I was like, I don't know. And she's like, well, this, and that, and then I said, well, this, and this, And then I tricked her. I was like, hey, I think the movie's a little bit better. And then I was like, let's listen to the music in the car. And she's like, I don't want to listen to this shit. And I was like, exactly, nobody. No one wants to listen to this shit. I'm sorry, Jordan. I'm not putting this shit on to go sip a cocktail to.
What?
I'm just maybe it's just like I don't know. Maybe I just don't like musicals.
I don't.
Maybe
like
that's
musicals,
what bothers me.
But I like this one because it's not like over the top.
Are you
ridiculous
listening? Are you gonna
singing,
listen
bro.
to this?
I have like just at work. Like it's cool. It's like, oh shit, I remember this part. Oh, this is happening. Like it's
Okay,
it's
so you don't
fun.
get hyped up in the Battle of Yorktown,
That
like
is
when
cool,
they just
dude.
win the war. Like you don't like get hyped.
No, not really. No.
It's like, how do we do this? We had a spy on the inside. Hercules, go in. You're just like, oh, you're just like, fucking go. Like,
So alive, dude.
yes. And he's like, I get it.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
It's so good.
Fucking cheesy, and it's just theater
I mean,
cheese, man.
I get what you're saying, but like if it wasn't what you call cheesy, it wouldn't have been as big as it is. Like it makes it that much more accessible. We're talking like white suburban wine moms are getting down to it, you know? Like it can't be like
And that's what makes it
immortal
even
hip-hop.
worse.
That's what I was gonna
That's
say.
what
You were,
makes-
you're
That's what
like,
makes it even worse. It's just like, ugh.
you're like, maybe they do different kinds of rap and stuff. It's like they need to still speak clearly to like get the story across. Like it's not like they're just making music. Like
it's a difficult task. And what I did read is that there was a scene in the middle of the play somewhere that wasn't rapped. It was live action or whatever you want to call it, spoken dialogue.
oh,
And they just took it out because they're like, this feels wrong, out of place.
Dude, I
that
think it
would've been
needed more.
weird.
I don't know.
I didn't have any of that.
Or
Like
just more,
just like literal talking he's saying.
or just like more,
It
more
was like 2 minutes of talking in all music.
Yeah.
You think that would have made it better if there was more just talking?
No, I think it would have made it better if there was more subtlety, because like sometimes it felt like, gosh, I'm trying to think of like cheesy rap songs that you would hear about like teaching kids. Here's what vowels are. Like here's a rap about vowels. Like here's a rap about like the 50 states. I don't know.
I feel like it's their speaking clearly is what makes it sound cheesy, because like most rap, they're fucking mumbling. You know what the fuck they're saying half the time, but like they're trying to like enunciate like way more than the average rapper is trying to, right? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
I found myself like, so I had the subtitles on, so I found myself like most of the time reading the subtitles, which was like, maybe I shouldn't have these on, but
Oh yeah, that's
I
weird.
wanted to know what they were saying too.
I think that there's like it goes back to accessibility for me. Like you know, a lot of really good hip hop is like subversive and subtle, but the average person watching this is not going to really get that. Like what's needed is like clear, like Terrence saying, clear, enunciated, on the nose kind of things. And it can be like, you know, A rhymes with A, B rhymes with B, right? Like that kind of repetitive style. But at the end of the day, it's like it's not a hip hop album. Like it's a whole play that based on history. I think it gets a pass from me in that perspective, even though I do like all of the other shit that you're talking about, like subtle, more, you know, different stuff, different styles. Yeah, it would have been cool, but I think it just would have detracted too much from the overall, like what it's trying to do, what it's trying to say, and how many people it's trying to reach, you know, perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like Lin-Manuel Miranda probably just did that on purpose because he's like, I have a passion for this specific thing, but I also got to make a bunch of money, so you
I
know.
like that doesn't come off though. I don't know.
Did you guys like look up like his inspiration behind this or whatever at all?
So did he write the entire, like he
wrote the entire play, every lyric, all the music, everything. So
and
he
wrote
just,
himself as a star. Interesting.
so he just wrote In the Heights, which is another Broadway play about basically gentrification in Washington Heights, where he grew up in New York. So he's first generation, both parents are from Puerto Rico. And he just won like a Tony or an Emmy or a Grammy for that play and was like, I need a vacation. So he went on vacation with his family and was like, I need a book to read on vacation. And he picked up this biography of Alexander Hamilton written by like Ron Chernow or something, like random, just a boring ass
one that it says it's
800
based on?
page. Yeah, a boring 800-page biography about this guy, and he was reading it and he's like, I can relate to this guy. Like, my dad was like an immigrant from Puerto Rico, and he's an immigrant from, like Nevis and all this stuff. And like his whole story sounds like a hip hop artist story, like coming from nothing, like writing, like whether it's music or what he wrote was like everything Hamilton wrote, like, and then came to America or the colonies to like go to school. And he was just like, sounds like a hip hop album to me. And that's like where he got his inspiration from, was like Hamilton's background. I mean, he also did freestyle and was like really good at it, but like that's why it like clicked with him. He wasn't just like, I'm gonna make a hip hop musical for no reason,
That's cool.
It's the come up, which is
It was like the best book he could have ever picked up. He's literally made so much money, and like,
dude, okay, you want to talk money? I looked into this because I was curious. He makes $105,000 a week on royalties alone.
Wow.
Nice.
Holy fuck.
They won, like so many things, and it's
Because it's like
cool.
he gets like money from ticket sales and fucking if they played it at Pope Joe with some random ass people. That's crazy, dude.
So I did read somewhere he was like, I can't decide if I want to be like Hamilton or Aaron Burr, and I'm like, you could never be Aaron Burr.
Yeah, that would have been kind of weird, I think.
He's just such a nerd, like I couldn't imagine him as like the villain.
What do you guys think of him as like being the lead? Do you,
So
do you love
A lot of times, go ahead, Jordyn.
I've just seen a lot of funny memes. It's like Lin-Manuel Miranda can't sing. Can we all fucking agree on it? Like, why is he
I was gonna
starring?
say, yeah.
And that's what sucks is that the cast is incredible, and then like it's just like he's got this fucking squeak voice, and you're just kind of like, man, this guy's really still in the scene in a bad way.
Like his acting and rapping was pretty good, but I think his singing was a little.
His passion is there. He's like a theater kid, like
that's
his
the thing
passion
for
is
me
there.
is that he's directly connected to this thing in a way that nobody else ever could be.
Yeah.
So for him to have that passion and drive behind it was enough for me to forgive the like he's not as good as everybody else on this stage right now,
Yeah.
But he also injected like moments of humanity and humor, and I thought he was really good at portraying those things.
But also, like, I will say, like, the historian and stuff that I listened to, they were like, Hamilton was so annoying. Like, he was just like, guy
he's
who was
literally the biggest petty bitch in all of history.
yeah,
He
exactly.
literally
So I think
created.
that Lin-Manuel Miranda like got that through. I like Lin-Manuel Miranda too, but I'm just saying like it wasn't like some super cool like sly guy because Hamilton was like fucking.
Well, I think like from what I've like heard about Hamilton or like read up, he was just the type of guy who literally, and I think they even mentioned this in the play, like he literally thought he was smarter than everyone else, and like oftentimes he just straight up was, like he just straight up was smarter than other people in the same room, but he was just a terrible politician and like he couldn't get people to go on his side as easily, and that's what it takes to be a politician kind of thing. But I don't know, like Lin-Manuel Miranda just, I don't know, he gave me this like weak vibe to Hamilton that I don't know was, I think for me, I interpreted Hamilton more as like this nerd who was like actually like kind of guy, like actually this is why I'm right and here's 14 reasons why, rather than just like some guy who just didn't seem like he could stand up for him. I don't know. I don't know if
he came off as like neurotic to me. Like, they're writing the essays and he writes like 10 times as much as everybody else. Like, if you look at that in 2020, you would call that motherfucker neurotic. Like there's no other word.
Petty ass bitch.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe it was needed back then, maybe it wasn't. Like, that's what's weird about him is that he played a role in history in the formation of the country, but it wasn't like, he wasn't ever center stage, Like, he wasn't president, he wasn't even like he was what, Secretary of the Treasury or something?
He was like George Washington's like right-hand man. Like
U.S. Treasurer, right?
But it wasn't like VP even, it was like a
VPs worked differently back then. To play devil's advocate,
Can we say that back then the runner-up was vice president? Can you imagine having Joe Biden as president and Donald Trump as our fucking vice president right now? I just thought about that the whole time and was just like, oh my god.
Shit would be crazy. Honestly, bring it back. Bring it back. We need a little bit of
a little bit of not getting anything done. Like,
yeah, I mean, it already happened.
That already happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never gonna be president now. That was a good one.
Oh, I know, and he's just like never gonna be president.
This guy was such a dumbass. He wrote his own confession in his own newspaper. This guy is like,
he was kind of forced to do that to clear his name from like not using government money.
Yeah.
So that he like had.
But it's like, you know, was your legacy more important than your like family? Even though she forgives him and everything, but it's like, it's interesting.
That's the thing, is just like, I don't know. You know, a guy like Alexander Hamilton, some child prodigy who like is literally after changing the world and successfully changes the world. He's not going to care about his wife as much as he cares about like his legacy. That's just how it is.
Right. And like the whole time they talk about like, you know, he's not poor anymore because finally like he got the rich wife. Like that was like score.
Not to mention women don't have rights back then. So
yeah,
who gives a fuck what they think anyways?
Right? And they touched on that too, which was cool in the play.
The orphanage at the end of the
well, when Aaron Burr's like
ballot or pamphlets of, I guess, what their policies are.
He's campaigning and he's just like, it's 1800s, ladies. Tell your husbands, vote for her because they can't vote.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was cool like that they added in how, you know, Eliza distanced herself after she found out that he was cheating, and then after his death, like she really was just like, no, like he was this pretty good person. Like he was a pretty alright guy, and how she like went to live on his legacy kind of thing.
I bring up like a bunch of stupid videos, but I've seen like dumb videos where it's like when your boyfriend doesn't like bring you home food from like wherever he went to drive through, and it's like, I take myself out of the narrative, and then it's like you come back to ice cream, you're like, I put myself back in the narrative. But let's talk about that affair. What do you guys think about it? And like Maria, were you guys confused?
Fucking drag the movie out too much.
No, again, I think this
was very important to like the entirety of how it all kind of
comes. He was black.
The act of watching it was a little dragged.
No, yeah. After the Battle of Yorkshire, it was I don't know if that would be the third act or whatever. Like that part after that really dragged out. It really dragged out, and I think for me, it picked up a lot towards the very end. We don't have to touch on it right now, but the duel. So back to the affair. Yeah, I don't know.
Terrible song. I don't know how to say no to this. Oh my god. So there's this
fucking video of this comedian. I don't remember her name. She's this like blonde comedian, and she does this stand-up thing where she's like, I saw Hamilton live by myself.
I saw that. I saw that one you're talking about.
So she's literally like singing it, you know, and like it's like this, you know, Mariah goes to the house, and she's like, my husband's doing me wrong, beating me, cheating me, mistreating me, you know, like help me. And he's like, I don't know how to say no to this. And she's like, say no to what? She didn't ask you anything. Anyway, and then it's like this woman who's having like abusive relationship comes to her local politician for help, and he just fucking has sex with her.
Yeah. Her body's saying hell yes. It's like,
well, like, didn't they
her body ain't saying anything, sir.
Didn't they kind of like allude to like maybe she was a little bit in on it for the money too?
But she says I didn't know about it in the letter. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I butchered it. You should watch it, but it's
Yeah, I don't know. I know that like extortion happened, but like I don't know if she was in on it or not. I don't know. Okay, maybe that's hard to say. James was saying earlier about like why is everybody horny in the 1800s or whatever.
No, I'm not saying why. I'm just saying I forgot that people were still horny. That's why they were still having kids, obviously.
Yeah. But think about it like this. this is the time of conquest, for better or worse. You're coming into a new country and you're here to fucking dominate, right? Which left a whole wake in its path. Like, there's a lot of bad shit that came out of this. But the mindset of everybody is like, again, for better or worse, infiltrate, and take over.
It's fuck bitches get money, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
And it's everybody. It ain't just, one side or the other. That everybody is feeling this.
But isn't this like already 300 years after Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492? Is that what you're talking about?
We're establishing colonies.
Yeah. So you want to fuck to divide them legs and conquer?
Jesus.
However you take that, brother. That's all you. Yeah,
what are we talking? I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
We're talking about the affair. I think it plays in.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
And there is this is where, Alexander Hamilton is basically inventing the way that money works essentially in America.
Yeah.
And people are noticing, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's, crafting something special, and he's gonna, of course, be in on it." So maybe there is a little bit of I could get a leg up so to speak, if I go and hang out with this guy, I don't know. Sure. It's interesting to think about. I'm sure more affairs probably happened.
Yeah, a leg up or a couple legs apart. Who's to say? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the affair scene was important, but it did feel drawn out, I think was what Taryn was kind of saying.
2 songs. There's 1 song.
I think this is...
But it's 2 minutes. Just make it 20 seconds, and then we could be like, haha, it's funny.
But think about it like this. This
or
is how
sad. I don't know.
This is... You guys said it made history approachable or something,
yeah, it makes him human.
Yeah, but history class is still fucking boring, There's parts that do kind of slog.
So much.
It just... You have to know, and they're important, but you're like, okay...
I like history, and that's what I was talking about.
I felt like this though. Fucking Hamilton, dude. I don't know.
This isn't
fine.
He's the founding
really not
country. Or one of them.
Sure.
That's why I was saying they were so close to being great with this. It was because it has most of that's why Jacqueline was like, I can't believe James doesn't like this movie. Rapping, humor, dude, history, those are my favorite shit.
I thought you were gonna
and this movie, I was just oh, it's almost there. I'm
I'm gonna say it.
I'm almost nerdgasming, but
this didn't have humor. I didn't.
What
was this funny to anyone?
Yes.
It was never funny. I think this was the type of humor that you have this is okay. Here's what I'll compare it to. When you go to a concert and the lead singer will say something that he knows people are expected to laugh at, small venue today or whatever, and people are just haha, chuckle. That's the type of humor this had. This was not funny at all.
You don't like Lynn's moves?
I don't know. There was some clever shit, dude. I don't know. It wasn't laugh out loud funny, but it was fucking clever. I was grinning, dude. Most of it was Daveed Diggs. He was kind of the
I was admiring the talent, but I don't think any of it was funny.
We're gonna talk about humor. We're not gonna talk about the portrayal of the king, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck? That shit was so good.
It was overacting and not.
It's a little
obviously.
It's play, but it's just every time he spit on himself, I was like, this is gross.
Exactly. Got so mad.
Oh my god! Why do people were petitioning to take it out of the Disney Plus version?
No,
fucking alone. Yeah,
it was so intentional, obviously, but it was just dude, relax.
I don't think it was intentional.
I think he was just.
It was 100% intentional.
Yeah,
dude, he was firing on 1,000 cylinders.
Come on, that was intentional.
I mean, whether or not it was, I don't give a fuck. I thought it was good.
It was so good.
Okay,
I think that's why
you're introduced to him in the movie version from behind, and you just see his ridiculous sway, and I was like, this is good. That is hilarious.
I don't love him as much as Jay does, but I don't think he's
it was the closest we got to comedy, and it was really just the
again, we're talking about accessibility and making cash.
Beyonce like literally asked Jonathan Groff like, teach me how to do that walk. It's so good.
It's a good walk.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, it's
Oh my god.
I guess I could say it like this. It's like the SNL version. It's like the SNL
No, it's not
parallel of
that
like
bad. Jeez.
it's not that bad, but it is. But there is like a lot of mainstream like appeal to everybody shit that I think has to be there if this thing was going to be a success. But at the same time, there's a lot of like I don't know, not a lot, but there's a few moments of like subversion and stuff like that that are really good. Which again, you have to watch it more than once to kind of pick up those things. Because I'll just say this: I'm very much in the same camp as you and James, in the fact that like when I saw it for the first time, I saw it and I was like, okay, I saw it, and I didn't really think about it that much. But when I saw it again, I think I appreciated it more. That's all I'm saying.
I did too, yeah.
That's the thing, dude. And I hate to say this, I really do. I did enjoy it, and I appreciated the talent that was in this, but I found myself like constantly being like, okay, how much longer is left in this? Like this, and I think I'm going to watch it again. Like I just
That's funny
can't.
because the first time I felt that exact thing, but the second time it went by so fast, and I enjoyed it way more the second time.
First act, I'm just like, intermission, hour 45 left. I was like, oh hell
First
no,
act is so
Jesus
good.
fucking
The first act was
First act is
good.
bad.
I think it
I
fell
think the first
off
act
really
was good.
hard after that, though.
So I
And
will
that's
also
pretty
say
good.
that like this cast was beaming with talent, like ridiculously great people, and not all of them were like, fuck yes, I'm gonna be in this play, like in their interviews, like W Diggs, like somebody went to him because they were already known each other from their freestyle stuff and was like, yo, you should be in this thing, and he was like, that sounds like a terrible idea, like who literally was like, who the fuck would write that? And they were like, you should though, because like last play he wrote blew up, like In the Heights was super great. And he was like, okay, are you gonna pay me? Like I need to get paid. And they were like, yeah. And so he's like, okay, I'll do it. Like it wasn't like this thing that everyone was like, I need to be a part of it.
So yeah,
It was a paycheck, and then now like
blew up.
Dude,
Yeah.
now it's a big paycheck.
If we could talk about David Diggs just for a second.
please always.
He's awesome.
Okay, relax.
But like she was saying, like that makes so much sense because the thing that I recognize his voice from, it's the most random fucking thing ever, dude. He's in a rap, like experimental rap group thing. I don't even know what to call it. And like their last couple albums are like fucking horror rap music. Like it's fucking awesome, dude. It's so cool.
Yeah, they're good.
And then
They're
he's
dark.
just like in this. It's so weird.
What is the name of the group?
Clipping.
Like
And the videos, they're real. They're
Yeah,
dark
they-
because they're real.
Yeah, they sound like horror movie soundtracks with rapping, but like they rap about like real life shit, like fucking race issues and like all this
Capitalism,
stuff. It's so
Interesting.
cool, dude. And then like just hearing him, I was like, that voice sounds familiar, but there's no way it's that guy, right? And then it
Yeah.
fucking is. Like that guy's awesome, dude. He's so fucking cool.
I
And
love
yeah.
him.
So that story makes a lot of sense. that you
Yeah.
I hear that name at least once a week.
said.
I had a
Dude,
dude.
he was almost cast as Moon Knight in the Marvel show. I don't know if you guys know who
really?
Moon Knight is, but he was almost that guy. I was like, that would have been pretty fucking cool. But anyway,
He did do like movies and stuff, right? Or he has done.
Yeah, he's in
He's
a
in a
new movie that
couple.
just came out with Jasmine Cephas Jones too, who plays Peggy and Mariah Reynolds. I heard it's really cool. And he's in that Wonder movie that I saw. So cute.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna be Sebastian in The Little Mermaid.
oh shit!
So he's gonna
nice.
be under the sea.
I thought Shaggy was Sebastian.
Shaggy's in Little Mermaid.
Well, he played it in some sort of live version that they did. Shaggy.
Oh,
did.
that was. I remember that. With
Like
the-
it wasn't Shaggy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
all right, I think we're over an hour into this bad
Not
boy,
even getting started.
and there's a lot left. I feel like we need to talk about the scene that was really huge. I think that was my favorite part. The movie for me, or the play for me. First act, I was like, this is cool, this is interesting, and then it really fell off after intermission for me, and it didn't pick up until the duel. I think the way that was done was really beautiful, and it really redeemed the entire play for me. I was like, okay, I'm back in it. There's a lot of moving parts, figuratively and literally, going on right now, and I'm into it.
So real quick, the final duel or his son's duel?
The final duel. The son's duel was okay. I think, yeah, like Philip, he says like aim to the sky and then shoot, and I think Philip's duel just added to the final duel rather than the other way around, just because and I think it's still like somewhat debated whether Alexander Hamilton just missed or just intentionally shot up. Like, I think historians are kind of on the fence on that, but there's like a lot of interesting details that they left in, that like specifically he had his glasses on, and that
I loved
the
bullet.
they mentioned that, right? It's like
they won't.
They thought he was for sure gonna.
But look it
take
up.
Deadly aim or whatever.
Wearing his glasses for what, if not to take deadly aim?
There you go.
It's him or me. The world will never be the same. No.
She's heard the soundtrack of
DMC,
so I really
relax, all right?
Go ahead.
Oh.
I'm just I'm telling them to relax.
I listened to an interview with Lynn saying that was actually the last song that he wrote for the play, was the monologue of like, I dreamt of death so much it feels more like a memory. Like that duel where he dies was like the hardest thing to write. Oh, makes sense, like where you die. But I liked that scene. I liked the bullet. I love like her character.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Did you guys catch that?
What do you mean, like how she was like?
Yeah, how she was just like there the whole time. Like I just think that added like a lot to the. Really?
That for me, I was just like, really? You're gonna like be the bullet in slow motion, like standing there? It's like, I don't know.
Well, she was like another character before that who died, and then.
Well, she's just part of the
background character.
There's like there
whatever.
is a correlation there somewhere, but I thought it was cool. I thought that they do give you that little bit of real history, and then you kind of decide for yourself what you think. But I liked all the counting down, 10 the dual commandments.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was
James is like
suspenseful. Nope. What I think made it cool is that
it's just 10 extra seconds I don't want to fucking hear.
It's the thing is like the first character that you're introduced to is Aaron Burr, and you kind of see how the relationship between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr like fosters over a period of years, and then at the end of the day, like it's Aaron Burr and Hamilton that duel. So like, not only are you dueling, but you're dueling somebody that you know very well. And so something like he's wearing his glasses would go a longer way in that sense, where you're like, I know who this motherfucker is, and if he's got glasses on, he's here to kill. Like it was really interesting.
So cool, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, dueling was an interesting thing in general because only fucking rich people could do it. Like if you dueled and you weren't like an elite, you got arrested for it. Like it was illegal to duel.
Fucking stupid, man.
I know.
Of all the million ways to die in 1800, dysentery and fucking this and that, you decide to fucking shoot somebody. Like what?
Dueling was an interesting thing. It really was like about honor, and like if somebody slandered you, you would challenge them. But like from what I've like researched on dueling, most of the time, like 90% of the time, if somebody challenged you to a duel, you would be able to like both of you would be able to talk your way out of it.
Most disputes die and no one shoots.
Exactly. And that's like just how it would happen. And neither of you would be dishonorable. And it was like, okay, yeah, like this is just rich people doing rich people shit because they're bored. Like,
yeah, exactly. Only rich people, because it was literally illegal not to do, but for them it was like whatever, it's fucking fine.
They got nothing better to do.
It's so
like,
stupid.
Life. Yeah, it was just
the historian thing I was listening to too. She studied so much about their duel, and like the doctor part was like so interesting, like have them turn around so they could have deniability. It's like one time or something specifically, she's talking about how a doctor, like they had to bring him into court and they're like, did you see the guns? And he's like, I saw a bag, I didn't see guns. Like they might have been in there, but I just saw a bag. And it's like, well, did you see him shoot him? It's like, no, I heard a gunshot, but I don't know what happened, because they weren't like looking, and they were just totally clear. Yeah, and they were totally in the clear because
that's interesting. Yeah.
And then you're like immediately go and try to save them. right? Which is also interesting. Like,
Well, but I mean, you get a paper cut back then, it's lights out. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
like
you're
I like how
gone,
like they
dude.
roll him onto the table and it's already infected. We don't have antibiotics. What the fuck year is it? God damn it!
Obviously, it would have taken long time for them to write to Hamilton
No,
and
I
tell him
know,
that his
but I'm
son
just
was
saying
shot.
like that. I know. I'm just saying like, yeah, you get shot back then. Good luck, man. Like, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the same holds true. People die from getting shot all the time, and there's a million more ways to die than there was back then. It's I don't know.
But imagine being so smart and then you decide that that's like the best thing to do.
Yeah,
So
no,
I think
I totally
okay.
get you.
So
And like
stupid.
from what I've like heard was that I think that Alexander Hamilton didn't think that either like Aaron Burr would hit the shot or the shot would be lethal, and then it would be like it was more of like a strategic move for Hamilton to be like, look, like I was honorable and I like didn't shoot, and like because he was not very old. I think he was 47, 49. Like because even his age is disputed, like how old he was.
Yeah.
But you know, it was kind of almost a political move to be like, look at, I'm like an honorable person, because he still had so much work to do. Like, in, you know, I really don't think that Hamilton went into that thinking that either of them were going to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like he told his son, he didn't think his son was gonna die either. It's like no one really shoots the other one unless
that's what really solidifies his stupidity. Like, what, dude, dumber than shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think he rolled the dice and
Fuck
he
the honor.
put it all on black and it came up red.
What an idiot. Hamilton, the human's overrated. Hamilton, the play is overrated.
Wow.
Is that your rating?
That's a hot take.
Let's get into it.
Take him off the 10.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Go ahead, Jordan. Round them off.
What else you got?
I don't know. It's just like we haven't even talked on like Eliza and her everything. Like at the end, you know, like she lives 50 more years. She establishes the first private orphanage. She like does all this stuff for him, and she still loves him. Like, yay!
So
right?
Yeah, good for her.
Is her
Not
last
even
name
her, but
Hamilton at this point?
Yeah.
Is a play named after her? Is that what I got?
I've read that like Hamilton is about like their family and not just him. It seemed like, you know, because she did so much.
Yeah, it seemed like it was more of an homage to her than it was actual Alexander Hamilton.
Really?
And Jay, like, he asked me yesterday. He's like, "What does it mean when she gasps at the end?"
Oh,
I didn't know that on the first time I watched it.
She wouldn't answer. What is it?
The very last second of the play is her gasping into the audience, and then that.
It's funny. I looked up just Hamilton on Google, and I've talked about this before, but like people also ask on Google, and like if you click through that, it'd say like, "Why did Eliza gasp at the end of Hamilton?"
Yeah,
and nobody said, "There's no real answer." It's like
no, like Manuel Miranda didn't ever answer. He says, people are like, "Is it her dying? Is it her seeing Hamilton in heaven when they both die?" And it's just like,
and it sounds like the answer's like maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like we got debated, Jay, because Jordan was like, it seemed like she had the answer and she wouldn't tell us until we were on this cast.
Yeah, we watched.
They were just trying
together.
to talk about it, and I'm like,
because I saw her do it, and I was like, "Why did she gasp?" And Jordan was like, "Well, let's just wait for the podcast." Yeah. And if that's the answer, I'm a little upset.
I think for me, I feel like okay, like just leave it as a cliffhanger, and any like put your own interpretation into it. For me, I feel like maybe it was like her death and like her like seeing Hamilton again. I don't know. Afterlife.
I'm totally down for your own interpretation.
So happy the play is over.
Hey, you say that. I'm not saying nothing. I don't know.
Okay,
at that point, I was already so checked out. I didn't even fucking notice.
Yeah, I didn't the first time I saw it.
I also just want to talk about where this first debuted, like where Lin-Manuel Miranda first.
Oh, sure, yeah, I'm interested.
Ever told the world that he was writing this, right? Does anybody know? Do you guys look it up?
No.
So he was invited by President Obama and the missus to come to like their poetry slam that they hold at the White House every year and like have performances and like all this stuff. And so they invited him to come. and like do something from In the Heights or do something from whatever, you know? And he was just like, hey everyone, like it was like 2005.
Wow.
No, 2000.
He probably was, yeah.
It took him like 6 or 7 years to write it. So if it went out in 2005, then maybe it was like 2007.
Wow.
I don't know. But he went there and he's like, oh, I'm writing a hip hop thing, you know, a musical about our founding father. And everybody laughed in the crowd and was like, you're crazy. And he just like sang the first song from Aaron Burr's perspective. And it's like a little different, you know? And then everyone was like clapping. And then they like invited him back to the White House like Obama's last year. And the whole cast performed it. And it was like beautiful, right? Because they were like, wow, you're like a genius.
That would have had to
that's
been
like where he first debuted it, was just like in the White House.
That's awesome.
That is really cool. That would have had to been post 2008, right? Because that's when.
Yeah. I think it was 2009 because it took him like 7 years to write it or something.
Oh wow.
Which is a long time. And then there's like another funny story that like Mike Pence went to go see it live like the day after the election when him and Trump won, and he got booed like a motherfucker because everyone's gonna boo him, of course. And then there's like a video of like the Hamilton cast, like, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda. It wasn't them anymore. It wasn't the original cast. And they were like, if you guys like don't want to have the show, we can cancel it. We could do refunds. Like the world is sad, right? Like fuck everything. And everyone was like, you can protest by not hosting the show. And they're like, no, we'll go on. We'll go on. And they did. And Mike Pence came. And so they all like collectively wrote a letter to him and like Trump and this new administration. They read it to him out loud. And it was like so beautiful. And like nice, and like, you know, like we're scared, please, like, you know, whatever, like you came to see us, support us, you know, like stand up for us and everything. And it was interesting. And he just like got booed. And then there's a bunch of people that were like, it was so amazing to witness that. And there's like those fucking white ass blonde girls that are like, I paid so much money to come see Hamilton, and it was just got political, and it was disgusting.
It was political.
Oh God!
See the founding fathers. Oh Jesus!
Yeah, that's literally the Rage Against the Machine shit.
Yeah.
Since when did you guys get so political? Have you seen the fucking comments?
It's like, what machine did you think we were raging against?
Yeah, and then
like,
so
are you
then
serious?
Trump tweets all these stupid things, and he's like, I demand an apology from the cast, and everyone's like, fuck you, you know, like that'll never happen. But also like he's just like, the theater is supposed to be a safe place for all, like why would you call out my boy? And it's like they were being totally respectful, and it was just so ridiculous, you know, from like to go to debuting it in the White House to like wanting nothing to do with the administration in the White House, you know?
That's hilarious.
Wow. But yeah, it was really crazy.
That is crazy.
All right, what else you got on that notepad, Jordyn?
I don't have anything. We can end it. I don't even have a score.
I have a little something. There's a guy who's I don't know his name, but he created an entire play, anti-Hamilton play, and it basically follows the life of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he's haunted by the ghosts of the past, like all the slaves and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Send it to
I'm
me.
confused now. Lin-Manuel Miranda or Hamilton?
Hamilton.
Hamilton's in it as a ghost.
Oh, but
But
they're
The
actually
play
haunting
literally
Lin-Manuel
centers
Miranda.
around Lin-Manuel
The
Miranda.
play, centers around Lin-Manuel. Yeah, and
Interesting.
how he's haunted by the ghosts of the people he didn't represent in the play.
Yeah, like there's definitely a lack of representation, and people are like,
I
they
mean-
mentioned that they wanted to end slavery. It's like it's not enough, but like, you know,
Yeah.
Well, it's difficult because all of the founding fathers like owned slaves, like, and that's news to me that Hamilton was a slave owner too. I didn't.
It's literally like last 2 weeks news. I
Yeah,
got the ping
not
on my
really
phone.
But from like there's a podcast that I listened to just on Alexander Hamilton in general, and that he was like very pro emancipation, and like he was really, because he was an immigrant himself, and he was just like, he thought it was just abhorrent that slavery
Yeah.
in America.
They talked about him or alluded to him like being either affiliated or like being an abolitionist himself. So I think they tried to squeeze it in, but you know, I don't know. I mean, we don't even know when he was born or when he died. Like
We know when he died, but
hard.
yeah,
It's hard to, you know, it's hard to pinpoint all that stuff so long ago.
for sure.
I'm not saying that I doubt they had slaves. I believe it, but
I feel like
that stuff's just gonna be dug up for the rest of the time. But to like make your point, James, like that sounds like a reactionary thing that was made to Hamilton being made, and like I think ultimately everybody's on the same page. So it's like a little bit of woke scolding shit.
Yeah, that sounds kind of. I don't know.
That
I feel
sounds
like
more of a money grab to me than the original play itself.
Yeah, because I feel like just the fact that like 90% of the characters were minority in this play, like kind of answers for that. You know what I mean? Like, why do you need to react so harshly?
I mean, I get
know.
it though. Like you're not directly speaking to it, which is it's like it's fucking.
I don't know.
You're trying to stir up something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I put the link in the Twitch chat if anyone wants to watch it. It's
interested.
So let's jump into ratings. Who wants to go first on this one?
Ladies first.
No,
Jordyn?
I'm the guest. I go in the middle.
Go in the middle. What the fuck?
Duh.
But you're the only lady. Okay.
You go.
I'll go.
Go ahead, James.
Okay.
I'll go after.
I feel like I've already gotten into my review like 45 times tonight.
He's like, this podcast is like the movie. And
yes, absolutely. That's exactly how I'm feeling. No.
Wow.
I'm just like I said earlier, like this was built up so high in my head, and I was like, holy shit, it's gonna be everything that I actually like. Like everyone hyped it up, and I was like, oh, it's like a lot of my favorite things. And then just watching it, I was just like, fuck. I had the same feeling for it as I do for Frozen, where I'm just like, really? Like this is what everybody's fucking talking about. This is the music that everyone's in love with, and I don't know.
Damn, bro.
I just
Can I make a connection?
Go ahead.
Kristoff in Frozen is voiced by the King George in Hamilton.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you feel it.
Yeah.
Subconscious.
And then so like okay, don't get me wrong. Like this is like generally an enjoyable thing to watch. I think it drags in some places. Some of the music's just too long. I think we get the point most of the time. The acting is incredible. Lin-Manuel Miranda is really clever. I just feel like I don't know. It just still has that stereotypical thing that theater's nerdy, and it's not. It's just nerdy, and I don't, and that's not a bad thing. I'm a nerd myself, but like something about this almost makes me cringe when I watch it. Like when I was watching the King sing, like even though it's catchy, you're almost just kind of like, I don't know. It's something about it just feels so cringy to me. I don't know. I wanted to love this, and I didn't hate it. I didn't really over like it. I don't know. It's like middle ground. It's like middle ground for me. It's like 6.8 for me.
Holy fuck!
Wow.
That score is like really based on the incredible cast, all the craziness that goes behind all of it. Like it's really clever. It just, I don't know, just doesn't vibe with me.
Interesting. All right.
Should we go negative, positive, or do you want to just go double negative, Adrian?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Taryn. Go ahead.
Yeah, you turn.
The call out.
No, I don't know. Just figure it out. I don't know. Damn it. There was something I was going to respond that you said, but I don't fucking remember anymore because it's been a long minute since we've been recording this podcast. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, dude. I guess maybe it's the fact that I didn't know it was rap, that when it was, I was so shook and so excited. I was like, oh my god, dude, musicals so fucking lame. Like, even just like Disney movies that have singing in it bug the shit out of me. But like, I don't know. Like, this shit hit so much better than I thought it would, dude. Like, it was so, like, the writing was so clever, the acting was so fucking good. Like, when you would get it on people's faces, like, the emotions would just, I don't know, it would, like, it's like, shout out especially to George Washington's like One Last Time song. Holy fuck, that guy belts his shit, dude. Like, he nails it so hard.
Dude, he was so low key throughout the whole movie, like throughout most of it, and then when he was just like, "Let me pop off real quick," you were like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
that song was
so
like,
good.
Yeah. Let's see, I don't know, man. Like, just everything they could do with the one stage. Like, everything just blew my mind. I don't even know how to like explain all this shit. Like, all the acting that they would do while they were singing, while they were crying, like, it was just like, how can you do this? Like, I can't even imagine like people doing this for a living and being that fucking good at it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Shout out to David Diggs and the King. Those are like some of my favorite characters. The way like songs would be catchy, but like interweave old songs like back in to like kind of like tie back in like different storylines and stuff, like, was just so well crafted, dude. Like, the writing in this is so good. Like, we give Lin-Manuel Miranda flack for like his singing and stuff, but like his writing was fucking great. I think like it made up way more than it needed to, I guess. And just one more shout out to the like, why do you write like you're running out of time, like that whole thing. Like, that shit, like, I don't know, like, maybe I was taking like my own spin on it, but like, it just like hit so well, where it's like so many different things that you can, so many different ways you can take that song. Is like, why are you trying so hard? Like, what are you trying to prove? Or like you're just so scared of like the future or something. Like, the way that they sang that song is just like forever is just like super ingrained in me. Like, it's so good, dude. I don't know. I like this a lot more than half of us, I guess. I don't know. It didn't seem cheesy to me, like, fucking at all. Like, it just hit every note that I was trying to hit. Loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go fucking 9, dude. 9.0.
9.0.
All right, 9.0 out of 10.
Last?
Do you want to go last?
Yeah.
Is it lower than that? Damn.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll go next then.
Okay.
So, yeah, I am leaning definitely more towards James. I think that, I really appreciate all of the, the acting in this, just the set design, how the stage was like so intricate. And I think what really shined out for me was just the attention that it brought to Alexander Hamilton, because aside from him owning slaves, I think he was a super influential American, and like he really did a lot for, I don't know, just the founding. I mean, granted, he's one of the founding fathers and one of the youngest, or the youngest, and just a super interesting guy. And I really appreciate that he is in the spotlight. We touched on it a little bit earlier, like he almost lost his spot on the $10 bill, and this play pretty much locked it in for him to keep it, which is interesting. I think the things that I didn't like about it, for me, the rapping, when it was subtle and when things just seemed to rhyme without the characters really knowing that they rhymed, if that makes sense, like, really worked for me. So when it first started out, I was like, okay, like, they're rapping, but they don't even know they're rapping. And then as the play went on, it just became more and more obvious. They started doing rap battles, and I was like, this is just cheesy. This is way too cheesy for me. It didn't really work. The rapping was like well done as far as like acting wise, but I think it was written off. It was just off for me. And I think, that kind of goes into Lin-Manuel Miranda, where I don't know if he was the best Alexander Hamilton they could have had. Like, and just because he wrote the damn thing doesn't just give him a free ride to be like, well, he wasn't great, but look at how great he was in writing it. It's like, no, why didn't he just get somebody who had been amazing in that regard too? So that doesn't give me a full pass for that. But I don't know. It falls off in the middle. It picks back up at the end, and there's a lot of interesting things that you can do in a play that you can't do in a film. And for that, I appreciate it. And I think that I would have even liked this movie way more if I could see it live. I think there's no disputing that. But I fall somewhere in the middle. And I think that for me, this is a solid 7 out of 10. So that's where I land with it.
Okay.
All right. So Jay, take it over.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things I liked, like the rapping about history and then throwing the history of rap into the rap. It was cool. The stage, the setting, the way that you're pulling like triple duty, potentially playing multiple characters, but also actually positioning things on the stage to make sense in real time. Like you're having this intimate thing. Even though they got the equivalent of like film takes by having 3 of the versions to choose from, it's still only 3, and it's like it's a lot of work, I think, to do well, no matter what. And I don't know, maybe we'll see more of this in the future. I think this maybe influenced like the accessibility of Broadway plays that are popular to the like vast majority of people. Like I think that this will kind of ignite a better a better trajectory of those things, and it'll just give more people the chance to kind of appreciate it, even if it's not the same.
Yeah,
so I think that's cool.
When it's like such a well-known cast, is like people want to see this cast, right? It's like this is a way for them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like in its own right, it's in some ways about the founding of something, and in some ways they too are founding something, like this new way to share this new art form with a bunch of people, which is cool, and I can appreciate that, and I give it a ton of respect. I think that seeing it more than once helped me a lot more in my score than probably James and Adrian. I think I probably would have been more around a 7 after the first viewing, but seeing it again, reading into it more, hearing the songs a lot, like it's pretty good. And again, like it touches on a lot of subjects, but I think one thing that we maybe got around but didn't really fully touch on is like we're still in the process of integrating the culture of like American people that are repressed in some way, whether it's like immigrants or like Black people or whatever. Like we're still learning how to inject the culture of that representation into the mainstream. So I think in that case, this is a huge win.
Oh yeah.
Like we got something, like I said earlier, suburban wine moms are jamming this shit. Like that's huge. Like 20 years ago, even that would not be acceptable, let alone happen, right? So for me, it's maybe I'm focusing on more of the things that it might be inspiring or like doing for the world, and not necessarily on the thing itself. But I think that art's job is to inspire, and one of its jobs, and I think that it's doing that really well. It does have some sort of representation, and it's reaching a lot of people, and it's making people talk about things like this, which I think is good. Like those are like core. If a work of art can do those things for me, then it's great. So for me, this is like a 9.3, 9.4 maybe even.
Go, dude. Whoa.
Which
one
is
the
it,
motherfucker
Jay?
that talks so much shit to me.
Okay, when you've heard the soundtrack like 1,000 times, like
Him.
not even exaggerating, 1,000 times, it can get old. But I can
9.3 or 9.4, Jay? Where are you at?
Let's go 9.3. I'll go 9.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
All right. 9.3 out of Jay. Jordyn, the Fumbler guest. Where are you at?
Okay. I was
She
thinking,
just took like a whole bunch more notes.
well, because I wanted to respond to you guys, but I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm drunk. I'll say that.
That's the show.
This thing I'm drinking is probably more than what
It's
you
like
guys are drinking. It's like
15%.
a wine in a can, so it's super
All those
strong.
babes? Okay,
Yeah.
just really quick. Yes, those things were
Yeah,
fucked up. I had
that
a
and the
couple of those.
tequila shot. I'm just like,
Yeah, you should not be drinking babes because they're deceptive. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
can't even read this. I don't know. I was just taking notes about what you guys were saying because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I don't know. I didn't think my score was going to be that high, but I feel like it has to be higher than what you guys said.
No,
because
don't
I
change
think
it.
Okay, Helen gave her what Helen was
Give
our first
it
guest.
what
Give it
you
a 10.
wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. Like, it's America then, told by what America is now. Like, it's very, very inspirational to people across the world. Like, it does have its controversies, but like during these Black Lives Matter protests, like people are painting their signs with lyrics from this play. You know, like history has its eyes on you. Like all these different things are so relevant, and like it was relevant then before like all these like you know like this movement like before Trump was president, you know, like you don't want people are always skeptical of how much government control like the government controls of your life, like with the banks, with everything, you know. So just like depending on where we are in time, the play is like relevant in a different way, I think. And it always will be, like, you know, whatever comes next, like there's
timeless.
Yeah.
For Americans, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I do. And then for like the stages, you know, like you guys were saying, I think it's dope. I love how people are so creative with the turning tables, with this, with that, with like the moving, you know, like they're coming overseas, like Thomas Jefferson is coming from France, and so they're going to be moving this thing, you know, and like Washington's going home, or like whatever. Like they just use it really well. And like I low key, like high key love that they used actors for more than one character, because you know, first and second acts, like you guys say 3 hours is so long. Like it's not that long for an actor to have like what?
I mean, if you're gonna pay fucking $200 for a goddamn ticket, it better be 3 hours fucking long.
Exactly.
That's
And
all
like
I gotta say, sure.
exactly.
Make it
And
as
like,
long as you want if I'm paying all this fucking money for it.
yeah, and like for an actor, you know, like what if Jasmine Seffa Jones only played Peggy? You know, like I don't know, like there's and like Daveed Diggs was only Lafayette. Like I think it brought so much more that they were just like boom, switch, and then like second act they're totally different people. And like I know some people got confused with it, but I think I didn't. I mean, I know I didn't. Like I think it was they did it like so well, and it's like why bring in all these different people when you have the gems right here? You know, like they can switch easily. Speaking of talent, like all like you said, Christopher Jackson's voice, beautiful. Aaron Burr's voice, he's so good. Like Theodosia, I cry at that song because I have a child and he's like writing it for his baby daughter that's just born, you know, like, and he's just like, dear Theodosia, like it's just so like high and it's so beautiful. And then I will say that's the song that Lynn kind of ruins for me because he just like comes in and he's just like, Philip, you outshine the shining sun. But it's so good, you know, like I think that Leslie Odom Jr.'s voice is so good in that song, and a lot of them. And I know, like, I don't know, when I watch interviews of them, like they're all like this clicky thing, and he always kind of sits on his own, like Aaron Burr does in the play. And it's very interesting because I'm like, let him into the crew, you know. And he's obviously in it, and they all love each other, but he does kind of like he's like takes it very seriously, like. He was like the reason why I ever even like wanted to be a part of this play. Like it was already written. They were having like a first rehearsal, and he was like, I've never in my life seen like 4 men of color on a stage talking about brotherhood and how much they loved each other. You know, like when you guys were talking about like the 4 of us tonight, like that song, like he was like, that's when I knew I wanted to be a part of this play because I wanted to just like have something to do with that. And I was like, oh yeah, cheers. Leslie Odom Jr. Like I was like,
the main roles. That's awesome.
And he got like he has more words than anybody. He narrates the whole thing, and I love how he's also the narrator, and you don't need a whole other narrator either. Yeah. You know, like it is from him, and like he's like all this, like how does he do that? And then it gets darker, and he's like, how does he go on and on to turn him more of a phenomenon? Like I want to be in the room where he dies because I want to kill him. You know, like essentially. Yeah. I think he did wonderful. I think all the ladies, I think all of them did super great. Yeah. I fucking
Angelica's
love all of them.
Good.
Yeah. Angelica's voice, she's so good. Renee Goldsberry, I think is her name. Jasmine Seffa Jones and Anthony Ramos are engaged in real life, and I just like love them. I'm like all in love with their like.
Wait, what characters? I'm confused.
John Lawrence / Philip. He like the Puerto Rican guy with the curly hair is with Peggy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they won the Tonys, or was it the Grammys or something, and like they knew they were gonna win, and Lynn's like, if we win here, and Gabe, because Lin-Manuel Miranda is Puerto Rican, and then so is Anthony Ramos. Like when they won, they just like waved the Puerto Rican flag like on the stage on national TV in front of everyone. Like we fucking are winning this fucking award. Like it's just like breaking boundaries all the way around, which is super cool for me. What does that even say?
Do you have a score?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Just gonna blur it out at the end.
I don't know. I just want to point out again, like I think you guys didn't get hung up on the fact that it was like a movie or a film, but like it was not, like so you can't. I don't think you can put that into the rating, but I think it's cool that it was made into it, and that. I mean, I'm grateful for it because then we all can experience it. I don't have a fucking score. I don't know what to say. What was yours?
You have to.
No,
9.3 was Jay's.
Don't tell him.
So I'm not even gonna lie. Beginning of all this, I was like, I'll just go in like a solid 8, But I don't know. I feel bad saying that.
You don't have to feel it.
If you feel it, that's the
Rate it
feeling.
what you feel it.
All right, I feel the 8. I don't know how much I like the point system that you guys do, like blank, 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 blank. I'm feeling an 8 because as much as I love it and as much as I sing the songs and stuff, it does have its problems, and I think that it's just a good step in the right direction, and I think that it's a good 8 in my heart, and I'll continue to listen.
All right, nice. So that actually brings our collective score to right at an 8.02. So pretty much straight at an 8.
Yeah.
I should have given higher, so I should have gotten the Hall of Fame.
I don't think you could have. You had it given a 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we rated this play at a collective 8.02. We would love to know what you guys think about it. Leave us a comment on.
She's so nice.
Leave us a comment on any of our socials. A very special thanks to our guest today, Jordyn. Jordyn, where can people find more about you? What's your Instagram if you want to plug any of your art? Anything like that?
JordynB_art on Instagram. Sometimes art, sometimes cute baby. Or go to platesagainstpatriarchy.com, where I don't have a website, but that's a big project that I love and that I made. So that's all.
Awesome. Yeah. Go there to find out more about Jordyn. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Next week, we will be recording.
Dang, Jacqueline gave it higher than me. Sorry.
What did Jacqueline rate it? That's okay.
8.5.
8.5.
Nice.
Dang, I don't know. I regret.
We are reviewing Faster, a movie released in 2010. So be sure to tune in for that. That is going to be
Dwayne the Large Rock Johnson.
The Large Rock Johnson. November 21st. Tune in for our show there. Follow us on all of our socials. Find all of those, as I've said, filmfumblers.com. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers, boys.